Welcome, everyone. Good boy, Tucker. This is learning at its most fun.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Takeover Tuesday today for practice management. I know Jack was going to do a quick introduction of myself, and then I'm going to just jump right into my presentation.
Excellent. Well, like I said, everyone, we do have Miss Stephanie here with us today. She is absolutely paramount in Redtail and designing Redtail to fit your needs in the best way possible. I know Stephanie is going to talk about some specific features today in Redtail that you can utilize and clean up, especially to start your year fresh and new. Now, Stephanie does have she's had an exciting career, and I will let her tell you a little bit more about her firm and kind of what she does and how she approaches organization and training a little differently than maybe I think some of us are used to. So Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. We are super excited to have you and excited to have everyone back. And thank you for being our first practice management of the year.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you again for having me. So I know there's a lot of first timers here that are watching the practice management takeover, and this is my personal first practice management takeover, so we can all be new to this together. I've been watching it for years, but I have now the privilege to actually present, so I'm really excited. So I'm going to switch over to my presentation here.
Stephanie, quick question while you're pulling that up. This is totally relevant. Are you going to have the slide deck available for everyone? Or
yeah, I can send it to everyone afterwards, and then you'll see we're going to go through a workflow template today, and you'll be able to download that at the end of the presentation. Let me over. All right.
And then I'm so sorry, Stephanie, but I think you might be having some mic issues again.
Oh, goodness. Can you hear me now?
I think right there, it might just be like head placement, you know?
Okay.
So,
okay. All right. I'm going to change my camera a little bit over so that I don't see me. All right.
beautiful.
All right. Okay. So camera. Hopefully this will work with the stuff. All right. So hello everyone. Happy New Year. I appreciate everyone for taking the time to be on today's webinar. My name is Stephanie Dannebaum. I am the founder and principal CRM consultant at Stephanie Dannebaum Consulting. As we kick off the new year, today our conversation will be focused on how to get ready for 2023. Today's agenda, we already went through our introductions, but we're going to talk about strategy. I'm actually going to go into Redtail and show you guys how to actually build out a workflow and go through the system. We're going to conclude the presentation with a free gift, which will be our workflow template. And then I'll answer any questions at the end. All right, so Stephanie Dannebaum Consulting is a full service consulting firm with the resources and experience to successfully implement CRM best practices, customize processes, and enhance data. We work with registered investment advisory firms on a project and an hourly basis. So our goal is really to help financial advisors in the CRM, no matter the size of their project. As someone who started out in the business and operations and gained the experience of financial planning and investment management through being an advisor, I know firsthand how important a CRM is to a firm, no matter if you're the CEO or the client service associate. I've been working in Redtail since I've been in the business for 8+ years. To complement my work experience, I obtained my MBA and Master's in Public Policy, in addition to my Chartered Financial Consultant designation. So I really created this company to successfully implement customized client service processes with the robust features of Redtail CRM. I love to construct tangible solutions and have always been the resident tech expert in all of my jobs. Stephanie Dannebaum Consulting has also recently has become an official strategic partner of Redtail, which I'm extremely excited about. All right. So although we offer hourly consulting to firms, one of our most popular service offerings is our customizable client phase templates. So, it's really important to really use the CRM through this journey. So first we have a lead. So we're talking about interaction. How many phone calls do you make for the lead? What do you do if they're not ready to move forward? So if you have this process in your head, things may start falling through the cracks. What if you could use note templates in conjunction with a workflow to ensure the lead is tracked? Next up, we have the prospect phase. Now that we've successfully interacted with our lead, they've agreed to a meeting, and now it's time to shine with that wow experience. Do you have staff come in and say hi? Do you give them a company branded gift? Use an activity template to make sure all those day of activities are accomplished. I know Redtail gives out some amazing swag, such as shirts, rockets, beanies. Do your prospects get a branded gift? Go into the chat box now and type in any item that you give to your prospects. I'm curious to see what people give their prospects, if it's anything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Next up, we have the onboarding phase. I'll have Jack interject with any of those comments, but I'm going to keep going with the presentation. So for the onboarding phase, you've concluded that the prospect's a good fit. They're ready to onboard.
Custom charcuterie board. Sorry, Stephanie, that one really jumped out at me. That's crazy. That's a great gift.
Yeah. And so so with onboarding, so you concluded that they're a good fit. What information do you need to gather? Really utilizing the workflow feature in the CRM to automatically be triggered once the prospect's been converted to a client can really save you and your team a lot of time. And then the last item here on the presentation, clients, now you have lots of clients. What I see here oftentimes, an office can handle the financial planning and the strategic allocation process, depending on what kind of client they are, for the first, couple hundred clients or so. But almost all firms reach this critical point where it's really difficult to maintain those current clients of doing ongoing maintenance while trying to build up their pipeline and bring in new business. So really taking advantage of all the robust features that Redtail has developed can really save you and your team a lot of time every week and all year long.
Oh, wow. Stephanie, we did get some good ones in here though.
Okay. Right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I love branded bottles of wine. Like they
Ooh,
take
that's a good one.
to brand a bottle of wine. I was always a big fan of that. I did like calculators. I just love how simple and traditional that is. There's something nostalgic about that for me. Koozies, hand sanitizers, tumblers. If I got a tumbler from my financial advisor, I'd be like, oh, I feel comfortable here. Golf shirts. Interesting. But Stephanie, I absolutely wanted to affirm what you said about workflows. I see it every day when I work with offices. Things fall through the cracks. We're human. I forget things constantly. But workflows absolutely help keep you organized in that way. So if you can incorporate it so you can have that thinking done for you, I just want to encourage everyone to do that as much as possible, because it will make your life less stressful, I think. And we actually had somebody, I don't know if you saw them, it was a little earlier. Miss Julie did want to say thank you for all the wonderful service that you provided her, because she's here. So because Stephanie does do a wonderful job and she helps. I mean, this entire process is great for just taking, like I said, that weight off your shoulders of constantly having to remember every single step of your process.
Definitely. Yep. Yeah. Making sure that repeatable processes are just built into CRM. So, when you bring on a new employee or, someone who's been on for a long time, making sure that they understand what needs to be accomplished so nothing falls through the cracks. But I'm really glad to hear people are branding lots of items for their prospects. It's another way to get referrals, right? So when people see that branded item, they get really excited and they say, well, I want one of those and I want to talk to that financial advisor. So yeah, utilizing that as a way for gaining more prospects in your pipeline is really critical. And people would just love to get those free gifts. So it's very exciting. So, all right, great. Well, I'm going to keep on going with the presentation, but thank you everyone for your input. All right, so Redtail CRM has great templates, as we've talked about. So workflows is one that we've been really focusing on over the last couple of minutes talking with Jack, but there's 4 total ones that you have access to. And they all work in conjunction, but they all have their own purpose in the CRM. So first up, we have activity templates. We also have notes, workflows, and automations. So by definition, these tools all have their unique purpose. Notes are for history, so what happened. Activities are for what's happening currently or in the future. Workflows are for processes, so what is the sequence? And then last is automation. So really minimizing that input, and you can do as, and if then statements. So really building your CRM together with all of these is really critical to be able to have a good working CRM within your firm. So, I know some people use maybe more activities than workflows, but really using all 4 in conjunction can really set you up for success and really take your firm to that next level. So that way you're able to take that client service. All right. So next up, we're going to build out one of the client phase templates. So, as we are getting into 2023, I thought that would be appropriate to build out a template for everyone that would be timely. So we're going to go through and do some activity cleanup as well as contact management cleanup. So to be sensitive of everyone's time, I'll be building out the first step in the first few tasks. And then at the end of the presentation, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to be able to download that full template for the workflow that you can use for your firm. So really at the first of every year, a workflow like this should be added to everyone's system. Be sure to take this template and really customize it to how you work as a firm. So whether you're with a broker dealer or if you're independent, you can really structure the workflow to be exactly customized to how you work with your clients. All right, so now I'm going to switch over. All right, Jack, do you see the Redtail?
I do, yes.
Perfect.
Nice
Awesome. Awesome, great. So this is a database that I have access to. I've put in lots of great characters in here. So we're going to jump in and start this workflow. So to build a workflow, this is our main dashboard. Most of you have been able to go into the system and see what it looks like. But this is the main today page, which you can see highlighted here. That's red. So to start a workflow, you would just click on this plus sign here in the top right-hand corner, and we can scroll down to workflows. So this screen will pop up, and like I said earlier, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Jack is going to keep track of them. I am going to keep going just in the interest of time, but I'm more than happy to answer questions once we get through building the workflow. And I'll be showing you a completed one at the end. So for this one, we are not going to be creating a template at this time. I'll show you how to make it a template at the end. So the workflow name we're going to do today is called the New Year Workflow. So contact name, typically this would be a client, but because this is an internal workflow, we're going to pretend we work for Poly Wealth Management. I'm a Cal Poly grad down in San Luis Obispo, so I thought I'm going to bring in a little bit of my history. The owner, we're going to say there's 2 options. There's user or team. I always like using team. There's many reasons why, which I'll go into here shortly. But we're going to do team. And the team that is going to be in charge of this New Year workflow internally to make sure everything gets completed is going to be the operations team. Category, these can be customized. As you can tell, there are system types, which is really helpful, but then you can customize to anything that is important to your firm. So because this is, again, an internal workflow, we're going to go to internal. Target date, this is where the workflow will start. So we're going to set the target date to be today, and then we're going to build the workflow around that date. So today is the 10th. And then the description here is where we can type in what the workflow is about. So we're going to say that we initiate the workflow to clean up old activities and contacts from the previous year and prepare activities for the new year.
Oh, I love that you're using the description box too. The description box is underutilized, everyone. If you are making workflows and not using your description box, great job, Stephanie.
Thank you. All right, so now, you can always create the new workflow, but we're going to keep editing it. So we're going to do create and edit. Now this is going to be where we build the workflow. So from here, we're going to click on our first item here, which is already highlighted. And we're going to click on this blue little caret here. From here, we already have our first step, which is the overarching item of a workflow. And within it, you're going to add a new task. So the step, you don't see steps within Redtail as far as going through the system. But when you get assigned something, it's always going to be at the task level. So as you can see here, assigned to me, this is how it comes through from the beginning. So we're going to edit this to be appropriate for our workflow. So we're going to edit task. All right. So for the workflow for our this client phase that we're going through as far as for us, I'm going to be calling it the activity management cleanup, right? Again, we're going to assign this to the team of the operations team. All right, and then the due date, we're going to say the due date for this task is going to be in the next, let's see, we'll say the 12th. So we'll make sure that that is cleaned up. So we'll update the task for that. So you can set a due date for the step as well. So if you do edit step, you can go in here, and then we're going to say that this step is due after the target date. So essentially we have the workflow, which is due in, we're going to start it today, but we're going to say this first step of 3 activities or tasks rather, are going to take, let's just give ourselves time. We're coming back from vacation, but we want to get this all done before tax time, right? So we're going to say that we want it to be done within 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And then again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to put in a description, but like Jack says, always put a description in here.
Well, now I'm curious, just while we're kind of mapping these out,
Sure.
if you all are listening, how many of you are actually using workflows right now versus how many of you are not? And if you're not, if you want to tell me, I would love to know why you're not using them. Okay.
Right. So I'm going to keep going, but yeah, keep tabs on that, and then keep us updated.
Every single day. I love that. Every single day.
All right. So then we're going to add a new task. So we have the, oh, my apologies. So this is the step is the activity management.
Totally.
Cleanup.
They can definitely be confusing, Sharon. You're not alone. I will be the first person to say that workflows can definitely.
Here. All right, so the task. The first task we're going to do we are going to track the RMDs. So we are going to create RMD and inherited RMD UDF. So the operations team is in charge of this. We're going to give them a couple of days to get that done. The next task, we're going to go in here, going to do new task. So it populates here. We're going to edit that. So the next task that's really important to do in the new year is to complete past due activities. I know that can be a area that a lot of us may try and put away, but going through those past due tasks are really critical. So let's make sure those get updated. Again, we're going to have the operations team. Everyone should be completing their past due activities, but we're going to just say the operations team is in charge of making sure the whole team accomplishes that. So we're going to say by Friday, we want to finish out the week having all of those past due activities reviewed and updated. All right. And then the third one that we have in here, we're going to add is the client review assessment. So making sure, we're starting out the new year. Some of us do surge meetings. Some of us meet clients throughout the whole year, but making sure that everyone is accounted for their annual review, if not more frequently. So we're going to go into edit task, and we're going to do the client review assessment. All right, we're going to do team. We're going to say that the advisors are in charge of doing this, making sure that all the clients have their appropriate meetings either scheduled, or we have an understanding of when they are going to be meeting with them. And let's just say that, we said we give ourselves 2 weeks to get this done. Let's say by next Thursday, let's make sure we understand when clients are being met with throughout the year. So we're going to update the task. All right, so here we've completed the first step, if you will, of building out the workflow that we have internally. So this is something where I will help advisors go through and build these out. But really making sure that you are putting in all of the tasks and really diving in deep and making sure that all the information for each of these tasks is documented is really critical, as well as making sure it's assigned to and the dates. So again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through the second step, but you'll be able to see what the contact management cleanup recommendations are at the end. So I'm going to pretend like we are part of the operations team, and we're going to actually try and get through these 3 tasks. So to create a UDF, which is a user-defined field. Again, if these are terms that do not seem that you've heard lots of times, feel free to go to the help desk for Redtail, and you can go through and learn more about what a user-defined field is. But we're going to just show you how you would attach a user-defined field. And in this instance, we're going to do an RMD. So we're going to pretend that Joyce Byers, today is her birthday, so we got to send her a card. But we're going to we got to make sure to add the RMD. So here, I already had it in here, so I'm gonna show you how you would add it. So again, here's the contact card that most of you are familiar with. If you scroll down to the bottom here, we have keywords and tags, user-defined fields, important information, and such. So to add a user-defined field to a contact, you click on this blue button here, add, and then we're going to do a user-defined field, and we're going to say RMD taken in 2023, and we're going to say that it is no. Now, the reason why we would be doing this for clients, there are some of you out there that are with broker-dealers, and you're able to maintain the RMD tracker with an outside program. For those of you who are using possibly a custodian where you're not tracking your RMDs, the CRM is a great way to do that. So we're going to, make sure everyone has this user-defined field set to no, and throughout the year you change it to yes. So come the fall, hopefully by October, November, we're checking this report and making sure that all of the people who say no for the RMD are being reviewed, and you touch base with them and make sure that the RMDs are taken out by the end of the year. Absolutely. So that is how you would add a user-defined field for that. And then you would just click add UDF, and there it is. And now it's there, and everyone on the team can see that. Did you have anything else to add, Jack?
I was really just going to go off of your saving your RMDs somewhere, making sure they're somewhere. Super important. I know that everybody on this call probably knows that. However, the UDFs are also reportable, and I'm sure you're going to jump into that in a little bit, Stephanie. And we can also kind of track them with reports. So I would just highly encourage everyone, if you're not storing your RMD information somewhere, I would consider using a UDF, like Stephanie said, because I do have a majority of my clients that use them this way.
Yep, exactly. So the reporting feature is probably one of my favorites. purely for the fact that, especially as the owner of a firm or someone who's trying to get a high level, bird's eye, 30,000 foot view of what's going on in the company, making sure that everything is tracked in the CRM, you can come in here and get a lot of great information. So the two reports that I wanted to just show you real quickly would be the contacts by RMD. So what's great about this one is that, and it will be updated, I'm sure, with the new Secure Act 2.0, but the age comes through here, which is really great. Date of birth. So these are all the people who would need to take an RMD, so that you can see quickly here who these people are, what their status is, their servicing advisor and such. So a shortcut to say, all right, we want to make sure that these 4 people all have the RMD UDF set to no, is you can click on this little button here called search.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Stephanie.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, while that's loading, normally it doesn't load that fast. This is also something to clean up, because it, like Stephanie said, this report is based on age. So while you're going through your cleanup, audit your birthdays, make sure everybody has a birthday, it's filled in, so that way these kind of reports actually work, because they'll only work if there's a birthday on the contact card. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, the reports really are as robust as your data. So make sure that all the information for all of your contacts, whether they're strategic partners or whether they're clients, doesn't matter, who they are, as long as the information in there is up to date, which again, being in the new year, this is all about contact management cleanup. So making sure that the system is really running as smoothly as possible for you, so that way you can quickly go into the reports and be able to gather that information. So that search button is really great, because it saves you a couple clicks from having to go back into the system. Now, these are the 4 people, and then we can do a bulk update, which is great. Again, trying to find those ways to minimize your clicks and be as efficient as possible. So we're going to click on the checkbox here, just as a little a tip and trick, if you will. Make sure when you do see this total of 4 contacts, if there are a lot of contacts that you have on a page, make sure to always click on this underlined item here, because then it'll attach your whole list. Sometimes it'll only attach contacts on that first page. So just a little tip. So that in order to add that UDF, we're going to go to contact options. And then these are all the great things you can do. You can either go back to reports, if you will, but today we're going to go to bulk actions. And these are all the awesome things you can do with these people. You can change the status, you can assign keywords. There's lots of stuff that you can do on a bulk basis. Again, saving time, not having to do them individually, which is really great. You can send them to MailChimp. You can send them to any other marketing, if you use FMG Suite, for instance, there's a lot of options. But again, today we're going to go to the user-defined field. We're going to select our UDF, which is going to be the RMD taken in 2023. We're going to say we want all 4 of these people to be no. And then you can do, and then I would do overwrite just in the event that someone did accidentally put it to yes. And then you do assign UDF. And then we're going to scroll up. We're going to exit out of here. And there we go. So all 4 are going to now have it. So if we just click into Martin Brenner here and we scroll down, you'll see that we have added it. I added it earlier, but you can see here that it was added. All right, to see past dues. So we're going to pretend we're doing now the second task of that workflow as a user. So we're going to go back to our home page. I like to have this as my dashboard. You can change this in your preferences. But to quickly see your past dues here, you click on this first button here and you can see your past dues. So in here, this is where you can see everything. They'll show up red here under the when section. So, again, being the new year, it's always great to go into the system and make sure you click on these and go through and make sure that they either need to be removed from the CRM or you need to complete them. Really, a best practice is at the end of the day, you're closing out your system, make sure that all the past dues are either rolled over to the next day, changed to the appropriate date, or they're closed out from your CRM. Getting in that habit can really help you be able to stay on top of client information and really just client servicing activities as well as internal meetings. And then lastly, the third task is the client review assessment. So I know most people, they track their client meetings either in Excel spreadsheets or the CRM or any other type of software. So one aspect of the software that I really like is that under the Know Your Client section, which again, if you want to learn more information about that, go to the help desk. But you can track and see when a client needs to be coming in. And you can see that from a report. So if we go into the report section, again, I really enjoy the reports because as long as the data is up to date, you can see the information quite quickly. So there's activity reports, contact reports, all these different reports that are super helpful. We're going to scroll down to these reminder reports. So right here we have client reviews. Sorry, did you want to jump in real quick, Jack?
Oh, no, I was really just excited because I love the reminder reports.
Yeah.
Because like you said,
Reminder reports are really
you're
cool.
filling in and your data is robust, then those reports can be super useful or they can absolutely not be. But
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if you have wedding anniversaries in there, I mean, I know, in previous firms that I worked at, we would send, anniversary cards to those who were having their wedding anniversaries. So having the wedding anniversary report, you could quickly, open it up on a monthly basis and then send those cards or gifts out. Birthday reminders, those are always very helpful. Account reviews. So for those of you who have insurance policies in your Redtail CRM, seeing if those insurance policies need to be reviewed. Again, these reminder reports just can save you a lot of time of having to go back and forth between multiple sources, whether you keep things in Excel or your email or Post-it notes. So really having everything in here and maintaining it can save you a lot of time.
yes.
All right, so client reviews. So again, if you've used the Know Your Client section, you know what I'm talking about in the contacts. If not, go to the help desk and you can learn more, or you can go into the chat and we can maybe jump in there if we have time at the end. But essentially what's great about this report is that you can see who's coming up. You can filter this too, which is great. But you can see, okay, we meet with Joyce Byers yearly in January on the 10th of the month. So when we are looking at this, hopefully we'll see all of our clients here and you can see the times of when they're going to be reviewed for their client review. You can do this as customized as you want. If you meet someone, let's say you have an A client you meet with on a quarterly basis, you can change it to that. If you have a bronze client, or if you use any other kind of acronym or type of segmentation rather of how you would take your clients, you can customize it to how they are in your book of business. So that's how you would do that review. But again, I would say even if you don't use the Know Your Review or Know Your Client section for your reviews, I would definitely at least keep an Excel spreadsheet or something to make sure that everyone is able to get their client reviews in by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And then lastly, to see where your workflows live. So if I am part of that operations team, we're going to go back to our homepage, and up here to the right-hand side, you'll see 6 active workflow tasks. Again, if you click on this, it'll take you to your tasks that are specific to workflows. If you have anything due today, it'll show up in here. So here's the workflow tasks due today. So these are, these are the 3 tasks that we had just generated, and that they're ready to go for us to start off. So you would just click on here. One tip and trick, if you will, that I usually recommend is once you go into this, I would open it up as a separate tab up here on your browser, and make sure that you can toggle between those workflow tasks as well as your home page. It's just nice to have the tabs open so you can go through and quickly be on the page that you need to see what you have to do for the day. Again, really what we did today is more for like an operations team or, people who are really boots on the ground. And then the reports are really meant for the CEOs and the lead advisors and those individuals who are really trying to capture the whole client experience and understanding where the client is, whether they're coming up for an annual review, or if they need any extra client servicing opportunities. So with that, having a checklist like this is really important. And I'm going to switch it back over to my final slide. But Jack, if you have anything else while I do that, feel free to jump in.
Absolutely. So I know that we had a lot of questions in the chat specifically about workflows today.
Mhm.
Now, just while Stephanie's getting resituated, I wanted to clarify a couple of things. So in a workflow, there are steps and tasks, and I did see a lot of comments from a lot of you saying that we don't like that we get stuck on a task. Well, unfortunately, with the way that a workflow is set up, you would get stuck in a step. But I did want to recommend just quickly in passing that if you do find that that is the one thing keeping you from using a workflow, I would advise you to just have one step and put all of your actual task items underneath that one step. And it almost creates just a massive checklist. So you can still have everything in one spot. You can still assign it to different users, but you can complete them in any order you want. And if that, I know that I'm explaining it kind of quickly because I really was not expecting to have so many users be this confused, because unfortunately this is something that I'm finding more and more in training. So we as a training department, I think, need to find a better way to articulate this. But you can absolutely have just a one-step task oriented workflow that you can complete it in any order you want. And I would encourage any user who's inclined to learn more about that to either check out our webinar series or schedule a training with someone like myself or with my counterpart Curtis, because we will both explain to you the different ways you can use workflows to hopefully be flexible. That being said, though, workflows aren't for everyone as well. So I definitely don't want you to think that you have to start using them, because you do not. But they can make your life a little easier.
Yep. Yeah. And just 2 comments on that, and then I'll jump to the final slide. So again, when you build out a workflow with one step, but let's say you have 8 or 9 different tasks within it, you can complete those tasks in any order. So really it's the step itself. You have to finish all the tasks within that step. So really, if you want to try and do the tasks in any order, I recommend doing one step with a bunch of tasks. That way your team can take care of whatever tasks, no matter what, if they're not sequential, whereas the steps have to be completed in a sequential manner. And then my 2 cents too is that if you or one other person within your team are doing something, activity templates might be a better fit. But if you're talking about a process, exactly how I was talking about earlier in the presentation, if you're looking for a sequence of something, that's when you should really be looking at workflows for that process. So it's really, there's 4 different template types in Redtail that you can take advantage of. Today, we just showed you how to do a workflow, but I really encourage you to go into the system, poke around, and see within your customized client servicing process what type of template is appropriate for each of your operational processes. So those are my 2 cents on those items.
That's great. Thank you, Stephanie. And I'm sure that we'll talk more later about kind of the philosophies with these questions that we got, but I will let you finish up. This is my favorite part personally.
Yeah, no, definitely. So before I jump into the Q&A, so I have here, so here's your free gift. So if you want to grab your cell phone and click on the camera, yeah, no, it's kind of blurry. If you click on the camera and you go up to the screen and you show the camera up to the QR code, it'll take you automatically to the PDF. So this will include all of the steps, as well as all of the tasks that we talked about today, including also the contact management cleanup. I included categories, so you're getting a firsthand look at a phase template that I personally have helped out some financial advisors build out. And then the second one is LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect with me. I'd love to answer any of your questions and talk more about CRM. And then obviously to the left is all my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me via email, check out my website. And with that, I will conclude the presentation and let Jack jump into Q&A.
Awesome. Stephanie, thank you so much. You covered so much in like 45 minutes. That was insane. I don't even think I could do it that fast in a training, so thank you. Okay, let's jump into some questions. We did have, I want to reiterate just in this Q&A portion that all the slide deck will be emailed to all of the participants today, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That was just another review I wanted to make quickly. So if anybody had any questions about that, you will be getting the PowerPoint from today that Stephanie built out for us. And then don't forget to scan these QR codes because they literally just go right to your phone. It's so easy, and then you can pop them into Redtail. We did get a question, and I'm curious to know your thoughts, Stephanie, specifically, and I'm happy to give mine. But if Kay asked, how can you use workflows when we barely get people to leave basic notes? Is there a workaround? Should there be the workflow just one person completing everything? So I'm curious what your workaround for that is, because I know like the training team has one, but.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll say what I believe, and then you can jump in from Redtail's perspective. But I think adoption is probably the biggest barrier that most advisors face. And to me, just through being an athlete growing up and just through schooling, really making something as easy as possible and understanding how important that information is to the end goal. So again, if you just do these little steps of, building up your CRM, just making these little items to be able to, then get to the point where you can then run a report. So it's really doing these small daily tasks, making it obtainable, and then seeing how important it is. So, I see different ways that advisors do it where they really incentivize their staff to be able to jump in and take advantage of the different CRM aspects. So they kind of gamify it sometimes. They jump in and say, okay, you know what, let's see who can complete as many tasks by the end of the week. We're going to have like a prize for them. Or there's different ways for you to get your team really excited about the CRM. It doesn't have to be this clunky technology that has to be a burden to most. And again, I've always been kind of a technology guru, someone who always loves to tinker around. So I'm probably on one side of the spectrum compared to a lot of others, but I would definitely, encourage people to find out, what really makes your team excited about the technology. Again, there's some that probably just don't really want to go in there. They are very much, set in stone. They like their Excel spreadsheets, but just find out like, okay, well, what would it take to make them excited to use the CRM? Because then once they see the robust features and being able to then do the reporting, and then for them to see, oh my gosh, I just saved like 5 hours for the week. Now I can go do something else. This is, that's when you really see the most, that's when you see it as the best, final, to see it. So, but yeah, what would you say?
No, Stephanie, I think I just need to piggyback on your answer, frankly, because that is a huge hurdle that I experience with offices. The only other thing that I would say to help with that integration process is really bringing everyone in and building the process together, or whiteboarding, just making sure that nobody feels left out. And I know that may sound kind of silly. It's an older philosophy, but really, if you're a part of an office and you are contributing, you want to know that your voice is heard and that you're not being left out or forgotten about, and that you're an afterthought, essentially. So I have found that just bringing everyone together, even if you, eat an hour or two because you have to build this like process out, most of the time, those processes are the successful ones, not the ones that we have maybe just said, okay, our manager is going to dictate this entire process and fill out everything. I can tell you from experience, those of you who know Rick, he has done that a number of times. He's my boss. I love that man. He's absolutely delightful. But he's done that a couple of times where he's gone, I'm going to build the RTU workflows for the year for everyone. And we're a team of 5. So it's funny when he builds one because he always leaves stuff out. And it's like, Rick, now we got to go back and fix it. But we have that camaraderie that he knows that he can do that. But in a newer office, that wouldn't work as well. And it actually might hinder you from actually applying that workflow. Now, the other half of your question, I want to make sure I answer for you, Ms. K, or K, just K, no gender associated with that. But I know you're having issues with notes in the workflow. And really, the only workaround I have for you and us trainers have for you, and I'm curious to know what Stephanie thinks about this, but use the description. I normally would never say use the description, but I have seen it used in other offices and it works really well for workflows. So I would say until we have a way to link notes to tasks, to steps that are workflow relevant, the description has by far been the thing that my clients have used that has helped them be successful and keep track.
Yep. Yep, I agree. I mean, what's nice is with the activities, for instance, is you can attach a task rather to that activity. But the workflows, can be a little more limiting in that fashion. But again, just making sure that you understand what is happening in each of those tasks and accomplishing them. But make sure, in the description also have as much detail of that information as possible.
Absolutely. All right, our next question is not workflow related. So I'm sorry, everyone, if you have workflow questions, please pop them back in here. Ginger did ask if she said, I would love to be able to label reviews for the reminder review, in-person meeting versus call to check in. Because the way that Ginger is set up is she meets with her clients 4 times, but 2 times are in person and 2 times are calls. Now, I'm going to answer half of this before you, Stephanie. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but unfortunately, there isn't a way to do that in the system, Ginger. But the philosophy that we kind of have initiated as the training team to help with this issue is really using your categories. And I know we didn't talk about it a ton today, but this is why your categories are so important, because that's essentially your service model in the CRM. So Stephanie showed the reports a little bit, but if you're not familiar with the Redtail reports, normally you can see the status and the category of the client on pretty much every report that you pull. And that's because it's supposed to show you how much attention or how frequently you contact that person. Now, in terms of this specifically, unfortunately, there's no way we can put that into the Know Your Client section, but I would say potentially tracking with activities, using activity types and categories to see like which one you left off on, or even repurposing like your sources field or another field to track which interaction you're on. I could see being a solution. But Stephanie, I'm seriously curious to know what you think about this, because I don't know if you've seen this before. I have not.
No, I have. Yeah, I mean, another option is, like we're doing the R&D for user-defined field. So
User-defined fields.
you can create, so again, user-defined fields, again, I didn't jump into it, but you have a keyword and a tag, which again, you can go to the help desk to learn more details, but they're similar, but they're different. But what's great about the UDF compared to a keyword or a tag is a keyword tag, it either is or it isn't, right? You either have a golfing client or you don't. But a user-defined field gives you options. And so for this, you could just say that they're, for a client review, let's say they're a financial planning client with investment management, you're meeting them 4 times a year. You can go in there and you can actually change that UDF to say which stage they're in. So you can say stage 1 is a phone call, stage 2 is a meeting, stage 3 is another phone call, and stage 4 is an actual live meeting by the end of the year. And you can update that. And let's just say, for instance, kind of piggyback on what Jack was saying, go back into your statuses and categories. Let's just say that we have your active client as your status. Your category is that type of client, like your high profile 4 times a year client. You can update that UDF just like I was showing you earlier with the RMD. You can say, okay, I've met with, let's say we've done some surge meetings. We're going to meet with those people who are meeting all, every quarter. We're going to set that UDF, make sure that everyone is set to know we're at that first stage. And then again, as long as everything is updated, you could quickly run within a couple seconds. You can run a report and say, okay, out of the 20 or 30 of my high level 4 meeting a year clients, who needs to be met with? Oh my goodness, everyone's moved on to stage 2 except for Joyce Byers. We got to go back and we have to make sure that we meet with her. So the UDF is really a powerful, customizable way within Redtail to take advantage of that opportunity.
Stephanie, that was really an amazing answer.
Thank you.
That was great. I'm not sure if you can see the chat, but Ginger actually just commented and she said, thank you. They just started implementing UDFs. So I do think this could be something that she utilizes. So thank you. I can't believe I didn't think of that, but hey, that is why you're here.
Yep.
Take us out of our regular Redtail box and help us see the world in a different way. Let's do a couple more questions.
That you really can, you guys have done a great job of structuring how best to approach client servicing, but you built in customizations that people can really customize to how they run their business. And that's really where I enjoy the most with my clients, is being able to customize Redtail to exactly how you do your client servicing. So at Ginger, it's like, let's just jump in and let's actually build this out to how you run your business.
Yes. Oh, and that is the crux of what I try to tell all my clients. I know we still have a couple questions and we'll make sure we get to them. But Stephanie, that point right there is so important, because when I feel like sometimes you can have almost overwhelming options when you come into the CRM, because you're like, I don't really even know what to do because there's so much I could do. They actually call that the choice dilemma. If you don't know what that is, it's a fabulous science experiment they ran. But that's why I'm just so happy that we're able to come. I have the Redtail training, but you have your robust 8 years of experience just from a totally different point of view. And sometimes I feel like I get locked into the Redtail, and we need to have reminders that, hey, it's a customizable field for an option. You can do kind of whatever you need to do here, and using it a little differently isn't a bad thing. Totally. Okay. Liz asks, do you have experience with the copy talk integration? Liz is wondering specifically if we could take a copy talk message and convert it into a workflow. And Stephanie, do you have any experience with copy talk?
I've worked with copy talk a little bit as well as mobile assistant, but I haven't been able to actually accomplish what she's looking to do.
No, unfortunately, I can't tell you, Liz, and I'm happy Stephanie's here to also confirm it, but you cannot generate a workflow from a copy talk message. You can generate an activity, but not, unfortunately, a workflow at this point. I am actually seeing Jason next week, who is one of the reps for copy talk. So I'll let him know that that is something we may potentially want to explore, and I'll see what his thoughts are on it. But thank you for the suggestion. Awesome. Are there any plans to add additional functionality to automations? There's not a lot of use for them right now at the moment. I love this question because I have to say no to it. And I love that I have to say no to it because, Jay, now I get to go and tell people that once again, we need to expand our automations. Stephanie, I'm not sure. When you work with a client about automation specifically, do you ever find that you are using more like one specific automation over the others, or is there one that you never touch?
Yeah, I mainly focus on the ones really trying to get people through that on like the lead prospect onboarding pipeline. So making sure that workflows that you've built for the lead prospect and onboarding are being automatically triggered. But yes, it is, there's different options, as far as, there's Zapier out there, there's other things, definitely research, but yeah, that is one thing. I would say out of the 3 template types, the automations, they're there, they have their purpose, but they are limiting in some fashion,
But I can say from the Redtail side, this is a huge ask that a lot of our clients are telling us constantly. We need to expand this section beyond just having an integration with Zapier. So your thoughts are definitely being heard. It's being brought back to our developers. And I would just say continue to ask, because the more that you all ask, the more I can tell people it's being asked for. So thank you, Jay, for your question. And hopefully everyone else that asked in the chat too, that were like, wait, automations. I can tell you that hopefully some good things are coming on the horizon, and just continue to ask about it, please. Because the more you ask, the more I get to ask. Awesome. What info is the client review reminder feeding off of? So Stephanie did talk about this a little bit, but the client review reminder specifically is feeding off of that know your client section. And Stephanie, do you still have the CRM open by chance?
I do. I'll jump over there.
Would you mind just doing a little demo for us of that know your client?
Sure. Not a problem.
Screen from you.
All right. So yeah, so I'll just pretend we're gonna go back to Joyce Byers for all those Stranger Things fans out there. All right. So on the left-hand side here, again, so if it's indented here under contacts, that means that it's for that contact. So just FYI. Because you'll see down here workflows and all this, but that's for the company. But if you click on more, these are all the things you can look at. So these are the UDFs. You can look at email history if your emails are linked. You have all this information here. But to get to that information is the know your client. So if you click on know your client, this is where it's feeding into. So this is the client review reminder. So if you click on edit, this is where you can update it. So you can say, okay, they first did their review date, let's just say today, it will reoccur. You can do it again, like I was mentioning earlier, you can say that we do it on a custom amount. We meet with them annually, we meet with them monthly. And I usually do never for repeat because it's going to go indefinite. And then you would just update it. And then what is nice is that this next review date will auto-populate based on the parameters that you have set. So what's also nice about this Know Your Client section is that you have all your written agreements here too. So you can see when the fee agreement, as well as the investment policy statement was signed, your latest ADV. So, we just started the new year, but, we have to make sure the ADV is sent out as well as the new form CRS is sent out every time. So, making sure that the ADV is documented as far as when you send it out for compliance reasons. Last privacy offering. You can also in here, you can have the important information, which is a free form box, miscellaneous client information. So this is more, in my opinion, more based off of insurance policy information. But then you can also have professionals. So you can have in here if the CPA or lawyer or like estate planner or any one professional for that contact can be listed in here, as well as employments. You can have that in here. So that's the Know Your Client section.
Awesome. Well, with our 30 seconds left, Ms. Stephanie, I have the perfect question to end on today. And it is, how can these lovely humans get in touch with you to potentially work with you individually?
Definitely. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to schedule. I have just go onto my website and you can schedule a 30-minute call with me, complimentary, to learn more how I can help out your firm be more successful with Redtail CRM. So feel free to send me an email, go to my website. There's my phone number. I'll leave this on here for those of you who want to stay on longer. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Awesome, Stephanie. All right. Oh, wow. Well, hey, everyone. It is officially, it's 12 o'clock Chandler time, which is 11 o'clock Stephanie time. And it is 2 o'clock on our Central Standard and I think our East Coast friends. So I will say thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Stephanie, for once again being our first practice management of the year. And we look forward to seeing you all next month. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.